I never believed in love at first sight until I met Sophia. It was a chilly evening, and I had just stepped out of a cafe when I saw her struggling with her scarf. The wind kept pulling away, tangling it around her fingers. She let out a small laugh, frustrated but amused, and at that moment, something about her captivated me. I don't know what made me walk up to her, but I did. Need some help? I asked, half smiling. She looked up, surprised, then laughed. I think the wind has other plans for me. That was the first of many conversations. We kept running into each other, at the cafe, in the park, even at the bookstore I often visited. It felt like fate was pushing us together. And maybe it was. One evening, as we sat on a bench watching the sunset, I realized I didn't just enjoy her company. I needed it. Sophia was different. She found joy in the smallest things. Raindrops on windows, the smell of old books, the way sunlight filtered through trees. She could talk about the simplest things and make them feel magical. And me? I was falling for her, completely, hopelessly. Our love was effortless. Late-night walks, whispered dreams, hands intertwined, as if the world didn't exist beyond us. I had never felt this way before. She made life brighter, warmer. I promised her forever. And I meant it, but life had other plans. One evening, I got a call from home. My father had passed away. He was the only family I had left, and now I had to go back. Not for a visit, not for a few months, but for good. There were responsibilities waiting for me. Things I couldn't ignore. I didn't know how to tell Sophia. For days, I kept pretending everything was fine, hoping I'd find a way out of this. But there was no way. The night before my flight, I finally told her. She stared at me, frozen. No, you're joking. I shook my head. I wish I was. Her eyes filled with tears. Why didn't you tell me sooner? Because I didn't want to see this look on her face. Because I wanted to hold on to every last second with her. She wanted to come with me. But how could I ask her to leave her whole life behind? I told her we'd make it work. Long distance visits, something, anything. We both wanted to believe it. But love doesn't always survive distance. Over time, the calls became shorter. The messages grew fewer. And one day, they stopped altogether. She never said goodbye. And I never tried to bring her back. I never betrayed her, never wanted to hurt her. But in the end, I lost her anyway. And maybe that's the worst kind of heartbreak. The one where no one is to blame, yet love still slips away. Years passed. Life moved forward, though at times, it felt like I was just moving through it rather than living it. I took care of everything back home, my father's business, the responsibilities he left behind. But in the quiet moments, my thoughts always returned to Sophia. I wondered if she ever thought of me, if she had moved on, if she hated me for leaving. I never reached out, afraid that I might find answers I wasn't ready for. But fate has a way of bringing things full circle. One day, while visiting a new city for a work conference, I walked into a bookstore. The smell of old pages filled the air, and for a moment, I was lost in nostalgia. That's when I heard a familiar voice. I turned, and there she was, Sophia. She looked different, yet the same. Her eyes widened in surprise before a small smile formed on her lips. "No way," she whispered. I laughed softly. "Yeah, no way." We sat at a cafe nearby, just like old times. The conversation flowed effortlessly. She told me about her life, her career, how she had spent time traveling. I told her about my responsibilities, how life had changed for me too. Then there was silence, not awkward, but heavy with unspoken words. "I never hated you, you know," she finally said. "I just didn't know how to let go." I exhaled slowly. "Neither did I." She smiled, and in that moment, I realized something. Love doesn't always end. It transforms. It waits. Sometimes in the most unexpected places. We didn't rush anything. We let time guide us. And eventually, time led us back to each other. Maybe some love stories don't have endings. Maybe they just take a different path before finding their way home.